before we get here, let me show you this dot. One of countless dots. But what's the point of these dots? Well, they form a picture of my face. It's an entire photo, actually, in a local paper in 1986. I wonder what I am looking at. I have no idea. There are only dots. We are not supposed to see these dots. It's called a halftone. A halftone is used to simulate shades and gradients. Interestingly, on the microscopic level, it's difficult to recognize anything. This car logo too just changes in dots. This is a color halftone and looks way cooler. And this is the oldest halftone print I have. It is hard to believe that this Buick brochure was printed in 1932. You can see that a remarkably fine wire mesh was used to create the halftone. But already in the 1970s, halftones were created using digital technology, apparently. On this print, each dot has its own outline. I think this is my favorite color halftone. And as we zoom out, you can see that the picture is also right up my alley. A beautiful recording studio on the back of a cassette case. Color halftones usually have 4 colors: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. The size changes the intensity. But you cannot just place these 4 halftones on top of each other. Just the slightest move would result in a color shift. And the halftones will move because presses cannot be that accurate. And even if you could align the halftones, it's not the best way to mix the colors. Rotating the halftones results in lovely but unwanted interference patterns. The solution to these problems is fairly simple. Minimize the interference patterns by rotating the angle of the halftones, like this. Now the halftones can move and the colors are properly mixed. I challenge you to find the perfect dot on a print. No, not this print, but on a real halftone, like this one. This is an example where the 4 halftones are not properly aligned. And that looks quite cool, actually, on this classic Apple logo. I'm quite sure they will reintroduce this color version on certain special edition products. I never liked the Windows logo. Even then, it was already way too complex. But in a color halftone, it still looks kinda cool. Maybe I can find the perfect dot somewhere. Yeah, you need something gray for the perfect dot. Like this. Nope. But we see a nice misalignment again here. What would this be? Also a logo? No, it's a knob from a stereo set from the 90s. This stereo set, to be exact. This one's also difficult to guess. This halftone shows pixels. In the manual of the Grand Prix game from 1991. Perhaps you expected me to explain how a halftone is made. But personally, I think this is much more interesting. This is the ad for the zip disk starter pack that I bought in 1999. 100 megabytes per disk. On this CD-ROM they printed the color halftone straight on the material, without a white background layer, which looks cool and even cooler in microscopic macro. When using an inkjet printer instead of a press, you don't need this color halftone, and the resolution can be much higher. As I will demonstrate with this photo from 2003 made with my first digital camera. The inkjet print from the photo lab only shows fine speckles at the same magnification. Very impressive for 2003. The early consumer inkjet printers often had a much lower resolution, as can be seen on this 1997 test print of a web page. This technique uses identically sized dots, but varies the density of the dots. It might be a bit difficult to guess what this is, because it's a little artwork that I made around the same time. One time we had a faulty inkjet cartridge. I made a test print and it looked like magenta was more like purple. But back to the beautiful colors and shapes of the color halftone. I like the little specks around each dot of this one. You've probably guessed by now that this halftone, again, is an old one. And you're right. A Casio color display organizer. You can see it working in one of my LCD videos. Newspaper prints like this one can be recognized by the rough paper structure. This is an old little article about one of the first LED flashlights. Now we're looking at an old fireworks folder. Guess the year. The music in this video is from my latest 5-track release, Countless Dots, which you can buy on Bandcamp, and later it will also be on streaming services. So this is just a mock-up, printed as a color halftone of course, with an inkjet printer. 3 in 1. And starting today, you can also support me on Patreon and get some extras in return. It's a strange idea for me, but I prefer this over sponsorship messages. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, does anybody know what program is running on this 80s computer in this 80s picture from this 80s stock photo book? I still haven't spotted the perfect dot. Maybe a color halftone is a never repeating pattern. By the way, you can roughly create all the colors with just cyan, magenta and yellow. But as you can see here, black adds contrast and blackness. And often it's needed for text anyway. Alright, that's enough. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon.